just going to give people one more minute to join, as it's just 2 p.m. here in Montpellier, and then we can start.
We'll come back. Okay, settings of the
I see Abhishek is here. Hi. Joseph is here as well. Eduardo, Sharifa. Hello.
Hello.
Hey guys.
Hello, everyone. Good morning or good night.
Good morning.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, some people are still joining, so maybe a few more seconds. We're over 60 participants here. Almost 70. Okay, I think we can probably just start and people will join. Once again, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this webinar and to the official launch of CGIAR Breeding Analytics Pipeline. We're very excited to have you today on behalf of Breeding Resources Initiative. We'll be together for 60 minutes, the very interesting schedule. We'll start with our Senior Director, Sharifa Alwi, for some opening remarks about the tool and how it articulates with breeding resources strategy and genetic innovation strategy as a whole. Then we'll have an introduction to the tool by Giovanni Eduardo Pazaran, who's ERI Breeding Analytics and Data Management Unit Lead. So you'll get a live demo during approximately 20 minutes. And then we'll move to panel discussion moderated by Christian Werner, who's a quantitative geneticist at CIMMYT. I'll let him introduce the panelists when we move to the panel discussion with early adopters who will tell you about the tool and the usage of the tool, their expectations, and how the tool has already changed their way of working. At the end of the webinar, we'll have a Q&A session where you'll be able to ask your questions directly to the crowd, either by putting your questions into the chat or raising your hand and asking the speakers directly. For now, I'd like to give the floor to Sharifa for some opening remarks. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Hello, everyone. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone. So this week has been like the launching week for Breeding Resources. So maybe some of you attended our launch of the Breeding Resources Learning Hub on Tuesday. And now we are launching Boflow, which many of you know about and even experience it, I guess. And we will talk more about that during the rest of the webinar, as mentioned by Julie. But what I want to use my couple of minutes welcoming remark is kind of to put things in perspective. How does everything stitch together, so to speak? So basically, this Boflow is not a standalone tool if you look at it. It is, but it is not. It functions within a series of services and support provided by Breeding Resources. So, and it is a decision-making tool for the breeders. But for it to do this effectively, it needs to be fed quality data that is being generated either through genotyping, phenotyping, and all the other services that are provided by Breeding Resources. So the way I look at it, the users of Boflow cannot not care about the quality of the data that goes into Boflow, which you guys are generating together with us. So you need to demand for this as well. And that drives effectiveness, efficiency, and quality of other Breeding Resources, services, and tools as well. So the processes that is needed to generate this quality data become super important when you look at it from the perspective of the output from Bioflow. So because if you don't feed it quality data, the information that is generated might not be accurate. So we want those data. I think those are the ones that we want to feed into the breeding pipeline dashboard and so on. And so, but essentially that is where the Bioflow sits within the bigger scheme of things in terms of services, support, and tools coming out of breeding resources. Now, before I hand this over to Eduardo, I would like to acknowledge the involvement and contribution made by Accelerated Breeding Initiative into making this as well. I think we work very closely together to do this. We have been talking about this tool for a long time. Many discussions, many arguments, and so on, and now it's here. So I think I'm very happy to say that we have sort of like approached the finish line, you would think about it, for the initiative. And this launch marks a very significant achievement of both Accelerated Breeding and Breeding Resources Initiative in our effort to progress CG breeding. So I think this comes from a long line of launches that has been happening throughout the year. And this week alone, as I was saying, there's 2 coming out of breeding resources. So this kind of signals the collaborative work that has been going on between the 2 initiatives and also other initiatives that are part of this whole GI. So without further ado, I pass it to Eduardo. Take it away and have fun, everyone. Thanks.
Thanks, Sharifa. Okay, I'm gonna start sharing my screen. Please let me know when you can see it.
We can see it. We see a presentation. Yes.
All right. Sounds good. I'll try to be brief because I always like to focus the time on the discussion. Well, first of all, welcome again, everyone, to the Bioflow launch, the first product of the alliance between the 1CG breeding analytics unit that comprises all the centers that have biometrics capacity. And as Sharifa mentioned, the breeding research services or the initiative. And we also hope that this is not the last product that we do together. And, I want to start, let me just make this a bit smaller, with what is the challenge that we're trying to tackle. The breeding resources understood the challenge that is to provide biometrical support across the entire system, the partners, universities, given the few experts that exist in the field, and how important this is to have better products. So I guess I want to thank also the Breeding Resources Initiative because they give this project to us, to the Breeding Analytics Unit, and not to a company or something like that. Let me go to the next one. What Breeding Resources aims to put together is a cloud-based platform to make available expertise that is difficult to put in a single center. So, quantitative genetics, bioinformatics, data science, and make it available across an entire system through cloud-based platforms so people can submit analytical jobs. What exactly is Bioflow, which is the first flagship product? It was possible, like I said, by the investment of breeding resources, but, through the Crops to End Hunger money, the support from USAID, the Gates Foundation. And this is pretty much a product that is cloud-based, that is a solution for biometrical genetics, enables users to use what we know currently about evolutionary forces and use it for selection decisions or decision-making. Is a database agnostic resource, so we can take data from different types of phenotypic databases, genotypic databases, environmental databases. So we are talking about EBS, VMS, BreedBase, GIGWA, NASAPOWER, and creating this interoperability to bring everything together and perform state-of-the-art genetic evaluation. So that the core business for us that has been prioritized is breeding or breeding analytics. So the current functionalities have been focused on these initial modules, on extracting data from the popular databases, cleaning that data, as you know, Sharifa was highlighting, that is very, very important. And of course, the core of the biometrical genetics, we need support in breeding organizations, which is the genetic evaluation and predictions using phenotypic, genotypic, and environmental data. Currently, using core of random regressions with popular mixed model machinery. But we have also enabled some of the modules on KPIs and metrics, which is something like predicted and realized genetic gain, and some other things that people can find useful, like population structure, etc. Besides the functionalities, we have also included dashboards. They are interactive. You can download them, and they are focused on decision making. So all the genetic evaluation modules, like a single trial analysis, multi-trial analysis, selection indices, optimal contribution or optimal cross-selection, all of them have dashboards. Also, the ones for KPI on realized and predicted genetic gain. And also, we have special requests from accelerated breeding to have a dashboard to make an overall assessment of the pipelines. And actually, these have been used in the last couple of weeks to report the genetic gains to the Gates Foundation. So what are the opportunities for the centers? Our expectation is that this will enable the leadership and also the donors to monitor the performance of the breeding pipelines, also to justify investments, understand, where the money and the resources are going and whether that is paying off or not. And of course, enable the scientists to do their core business, which in this case is select and nominate parents and products to have them, faster and more accurately on farmers' fields. We have received positive feedback from many people, several breeders. I'm just sharing with you some of the nice words from people like Ismail, people like Joseph. But I think many of you have interacted in the past months, and you have given a very constructive feedback. And that we don't sit in our laurels, but instead this motivates us to keep improving the product, keep coming up with better ways to visualize the data, to make your decision-making process easier and more efficient. And we are always open to just hear your perspectives, if something is missing, what needs to be improved. But we hope that currently what is there is enabling the breeders to do their core business. That doesn't mean, that as Sharifa was saying, this is just a standalone. No, this is part of, like we said, an alliance between breeding research services or breeding resources and the CGIAR breeding analytics unit. Of course, this is commissioned by them. So we consider they are the owners of the platform, together with, of course, the CG. This is a public good. But they have also, suggested that there is a proper structure to govern the project, just like the many others that we have in mind for other types of tools and services. So yeah, there's going to be a steering committee. There's going to be, of course, the developer community and also the maintainer community. And, we're working together as a VA team to ensure that this is properly managed. There is ongoing collaboration. This is my last slide. Currently, of course, this is a collaboration with these different CG centers that have biometrics capacity to develop the modules for the target users. But also, we've been having a couple of discussions with our Cornell partners to see how can we have a closer relationship to close the bioinformatics gaps, but also some additional conversations with the bioinformaticians from the different centers. although this is more in the hands of breeding the resources. And we still get, some good feedback on the technical aspect from our private sector partners like Bayer. So that's everything that I want to share. I think I had this question slide, but I think it's better that I move it back to Julie, because I think we have to cover other sections as well. Julie, back to you.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for this presentation, Eduardo. Yes, should we take a few questions from the crowd already? If there are any, or we'll move to the panel discussion moderated by Christian. If Swinen has a question for Eduardo.
Hello, Eduardo. Thank you for the nice explanation, and good to see at the end who has been contributing and who might be your contacts. I would like to suggest to add one more contact. That's the RTB platform. So we have now the RTB, the 5 crops, potato, sweet potato, banana, cassava, and yam coming together. And I see that Bert de Boek is here on the call, and he's in fact leading within the RTB that work packages and sub packages which is leading to this one. I think that would be good that we have not a single breeder contact, but not an institute, but an RTB contact. Over.
Yep. No, Ronnie, nice to see you. Definitely. Yeah, I think that is also part of the purpose of having all the biometricians together in a single group. Although this is not, let's say, formally any document, or us as a community, we're coming together to make sure that also the breeding teams and the donors don't have to reach a specific person, but there is more like, more people that you can approach. And also make more robust the maintenance of tools, because in the past, if a biometrician leaves, then suddenly everything falls apart, right? But if we have everyone together, I guess this is easier to maintain. I guess it would be on Bert to bring this to our community and suggest who can be another person for this type of interactions, Ronnie.
Thank you. There is another question in the chat from Aparna, which I'm going to read out loud. So, Eduardo, you mentioned that this tool can be used to nominate products, but Aparna would like to know if it can be used for product advancement decisions, and also whether it is linked to EBS and whether it can pick up data directly from EBS.
Yeah, number one, yes, the idea of the modules focused on genetic evaluation is that you perform the multi-trial analysis, you check at the GBBs or also the breeding values for the different traits. If you want to select parents, you can still use a selection index and select the ones with the highest merit, or directly use the optimal cross selection module to pick the best crosses. And when it comes to the advancement of products, many of the dashboards are focused on just identifying the most stable products, the highest performance products, so they can be moved to stage 2, stage 3, on-farm trials, etc., etc. That might require, that of course, you maybe fit different models. Maybe for selection of parents, you want to use the GBBs, but maybe for selection of products, you want to use the total genetic values, and both are available, but it's just a matter of picking or clicking 2 different buttons or picking a different model depending on the focus. Number 2, yes, it is linked to EBS. In the past weeks, we finalized the connection to download directly the data from EBS into Bioflow. So you just need to have, of course, an account to EBS, because that's pretty much what will be requested by the system. And then you can just pick the trials that you want to analyze. It goes directly there. Then you can start the cleaning and genetic evaluation, process, and the genetic gains, whatever is the need. Good question, Aparna. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, maybe one last question before we move to the panel discussion, and then again there will be some time for questions and answer at the end of the webinar. So it's a question from Harish. Was wondering how current team is working with CGIAR breeding lead group led by John Herrera to define the scope and the needs of the tool, I guess.
Yeah, well, this is of course, we have these two groups, which is the breeding resources and the accelerate. And, somehow I always tell that the biometricians and the quantitative geneticists, we wear three different hats, which is we serve our center, but we also have an arrangement with breeding resources, and we have an arrangement with accelerate. So it depends on what capacity we are working, developing tools for breeding resources, giving support when we put the CG hat, and trying to move the agenda on modernization when we work with ABI. And John Herrera, is kind of leading together with Michael the ABI, and when they come with suggestions and they want to have something in a specific, yeah, I mean that's the way we work together with them. But I would say the person that is closer to us would be really Darkus from ABI. And she speaks in the name of, I guess, of well, my understanding from on the name of John and Michael.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move to the panel discussion now. So please keep your questions for the end of the webinar. Christian, yeah, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Eduardo. Well, very, very early good morning to all my colleagues in the Americas. Good afternoon, maybe good night to the rest of the world. After Eduardo now gave you a quick introduction into the key features, the key functionalities of Bioflow, and provided you with a basic idea of what we can use the tool for, we have now a couple of minutes for a short panel discussion with three guests who represent different roles within or outside of the CG, including donors, users, and developers. These include Yanghua Li from BMGF, one of our biggest donors, obviously, Joseph Simuda Joachim from TARI, and Abhishek Ratore from CIMMYT here. And we have a couple of questions that we will discuss. Maybe some of the discussion points will already answer your questions that you currently have. And as Julie mentioned, there's also going to be time afterwards for a couple of more questions. So good morning, Yanghua. I'd like to start with one or two questions with you. So many of you will know that Yanghua, during the Days of Excellence in Breeding, was part of the Excellence in Breeding team, was leading the EIB Biometrics and Breeding Informatics unit. So Yanghua, you were heavily involved in, well, creating the foundations for Bioflow, for an analytics pipeline as we have it today. Last year, you joined the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, one of our donors who has been advocating for and investing in improved analytical capacity as a CGIAR program for many, many years. Could you share with us your understanding from, well, as a former CG member and now as a member of one of our biggest donors? What do you think, why standardized, semi-automated, and, well, very user-friendly analytics framework is so important, probably long overdue, and what impact on the CG and NARS breeding activities you expect from Bioflow in the, well, near to long-term future?
Yeah, thank you, Christian. So from both, when I think back to my time in the CG, helping to implement some of these things, and now as a donor, as a donor, we want analytical capacity for the same reasons that you in the system want it, which is that we want to be able to, breeding comes down to a series of decisions, and we want those decisions to be the best possible decisions supported by the data. And in order to do that, you need, of course, generation of high quality data, but you also need best quality analytics, and you need fast turnaround, which is something that often sometimes gets missed if you actually want to use the data. So what you mentioned, the standardization and the analytic and the sorry, what was the other thing? The tools, the actual semi-automation would be important for both of those things. Not important, like required, a prerequisite actually for both of those things. I think that what you guys have built over the past year, it is going to be a game changer, and it's extremely timely for a couple of reasons. For one thing, I think that it's a game changer sort of from the social perspective, because there's been other tools, developed by this group, that group before, but this is, as I understand it, really a consensus product. Like all the biometricians across the CGIAR got together, put together like a shared analytical framework, agreed on what the best practice methods are, and implemented it in an easy to use tool. So I think it's kind of from that perspective, a game changer, that it's like it's your tool and that you developed it together. The other way that I think it's a game changer and also extremely timely, it has to do with how it fits into the breeding strategy. We are going full on into the formation of breeding networks. This is a high priority for the foundation, that we are funding not individual breeding pipelines, but the formation of these collaborative breeding networks. And if you think about how to do good decision making in that kind of framework, the need for standardization, consistency, and turnaround becomes even more important, because now you're talking about putting together shared data sets, and managing the data flow, not just from one program and one team, but from the 10 teams that are participating in a breeding network, and it all has to happen together and in time to support the decision making in that growing season. So for that purpose, it's extremely timely. And the second reason why I think it's very timely, this is like pure donor, but also from the donor perspective, there's recently a lot of like sort of high level asks on impact, and like the people who provide the money, like Bill Gates, want to know what impact their investments into the breeding programs have been having. And that's honestly, it's a hard problem it's a hard question to answer for breeding, because it's not, the success of a breeding program isn't just measured by having an effective, by genetic gain and by itself, right? Like there's also other elements that you're dependent on in getting the seed out there and adopted and so forth. So part of answering that question for the donors is to give good data-driven metrics and indicators of like genetic gain, but not limited to genetic gain, that really show that that the investments that the foundation has made has resulted in more efficient breeding programs that are creating more germplasm that is fit for the product profile. Because then once you have the metrics that demonstrate that, then you can carry that forward into other assumptions about performance in farmers' fields and uptake, and make an impact argument from your breeding pipeline. But you can't. But if you don't have the data, the foundational data backing that up, it's hard to do to a funder. So two elements, and yeah, it's really from talking as someone who started in the CG, trying to get things like this going. It's really inspiring. It's been really inspiring to see it come together over the past year. It's happened fast, and I really want to congratulate the team and the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Anwar. Thank you for the congratulations. I have to admit that I missed like 2 minutes of your answer because the internet here in Texcoco is not always very stable, and I'm connected with my phone now. But I was very happy about what I heard. We're obviously very thankful for the support from the BMGF side, and I'm happy that BMGF also see this as a game changer. Now we have Joseph Simuda Joachim from TARI, from Tanzania Agricultural Research Institute. And I'd like to ask you some questions now, Joseph, and maybe we can get your early view on if Bioflow is going to be a game changer for you or not. So Joachim, Joseph, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Christian.
Hi, Joseph. Good afternoon. So, thank you for your willingness to. Good afternoon. Thank you for your willingness to join the panel discussion and give us some perspective from you as a representative who is involved actually in hands-on breeding and variety development in Tanzania. You represent obviously the Bioflow target audience with the intention or with our intention of streamlining data analysis, making it more accessible and benefiting from the benefits that that GIGWA also has elaborated. Having recently attended a Bioflow training, can you maybe share some of your early experience so far? For example, and these are just, again, some examples. What are your initial impressions of the tool? Did you find the software useful? Does it meet the NARA's breeding analytics requirements? Do you think it will become a routine tool for you? And where do you see the biggest impact of Bioflow on the NARA's breeding activities? Again, it would be nice if you just share some of your very early general experiences with the tool.
Okay, thank you, Christian. First of all, the Boflow training conducted under CIMIT Dryland Crops program that was led by Dr. Abhishek Lazo provided me with a hands-on understanding how the software can simplify and enhance data analysis process for breeding program. The interface is very intuitive, and the built-in tools for highly relevant to the day-to-day requirement of breeding activities. One of the key takeaways from the training was seeing how quickly data could be processed, allowing us to make faster decisions in variety development. So my initial impression of Boflow are very, very positive, because the software not only aligns with the NAS breeding analytics requirements, but also it's more than the expectations. I mean, it surpasses the expectations in terms of easy to use and the functionalities as presented. It is user-friendly interface, and the comprehensive features are emphasized during the training. All of them make it an invaluable addition to our toolkit in day-to-day breeding activities. So with the continued support and the training from institutions like CIMIT and the trainers like Dr. Abhishek Latho and his team, the breeding informatics team at CIMIT, I believe Boflow has the potential to become an essential tool for NAS breeders, because it streamlines data analysis in a way that supports quicker and more accurate decision making, which ensure a routine part of the breeding operations. So when it comes to the impact, I'm seeing Boflow as a tool that will have a very big impact on NAS breeding activities because of its ability to improve the efficiency and the accuracy of data analysis. During the training, the emphasis on automation and real-time insights showed how Boflow enables breeders to focus more on the strategic aspects of variety development, which enhances the speed at which new varieties are developed and how they can easily be released. So by doing so, this will benefit our farmers and the agricultural sector as a whole. Also, the efficiency with the bioflow translates into a more informed decision making, which accelerates breeding cycles and will contribute to the development of a superior crop varieties. Also, another impact I'm seeing with the bioflow, the real-time data insights that is offered as highlighted during the training with the CIMMYT dryland crops program will empower breeders to make timely and strategic adjustments, which will foster a dynamic and a response. I can share, Christian. Thank you. Christian, over to you.
Yep, thank you. Thank you, Joseph. I managed to get back online. Thank you for sharing your experiences, especially as one of the NARA's representatives. We have had already some very early interaction with the CG breeders, but you are obviously also a huge community and a big, important crowd that we try to target with the tool. So it's good to hear from you the positive feedback. It's good to hear from you that it helped you so much to streamline the analysis and that it turned out to be user-friendly for you. I hope that your colleagues so far had the same experiences. And we appreciate the good feedback, but if there's anything you think can be improved or you figure out with your colleague that are things that you like to be implemented, please reach out and let us know, because this tool is still under development and it's going to be under development for a while, and we're happy for all the feedback. With that, I'd now like to get some insights from Abhishek. Abhi, who is one of our own biometrics data specialists with many, many years of CG experience, has been involved in the analysis of this tool. And I think, Abhi, you can give us some good experiences of, or some views of what you think, how this semi-automated or automated analytics tool, something like Bioflow, will affect the work and the responsibilities of the CG biometricians, and how will it affect the interaction with the breeders?
Thank you, Christian. Thank you. And I think it's a very important question what you have, because I think we all are going through now Bioflow discussions. So in a nutshell, like I would like to say that Bioflow is indeed driving a phenomenal shift in the way we have been doing analysis in past. And I'll come back with some of my key points why. As a biometrician, we all, like in past, had our own tools, methods, and even some small pipelines some of us in all institutions had. But we always lacked a unified and a coordinated kind of framework where we all can come, discuss, share our tools, and do the analytics. And so indeed, Bioflow, the idea has come from the donors, like GIGWA is here, and was implemented within CG by a core team, and many of us. So it has now provided us really a central platform where we are collaborating, we are meeting regularly, debating, and then doing the best out of all of us. It never existed like this in past. Like it has broken a very big silo and we all are coming together. The architecture wise, I think again, it has a very modular and extensible architecture, so that all CGIAR colleagues and even people from outside who are interested, like Eduardo just mentioned about, from getting insight from Cornell University, so that it's helping us a lot. When we initially started and we were discussing with many of the people, it was looking like a CGIAR pipeline, nothing very unique about it, some tool to do data analysis. But I can tell you, when I have been using it from past more than 6 months and doing lots of training, the impact is far-reaching than just a breeding pipeline, analytics pipeline. Because we work closely with our NAS partner, I think Dr. Joseph is already on the line. And we do lots of training, working with them. And Bioflow has significantly enhanced our ability to collaborate with them. Now we have a standardized framework. We have conduct training across the crop. We do similar kind of course content. And so high quality analytics is very, very streamlined now. For an example, like GCP, Dryland Crops Program of Summit, which spans through 6 crops. Due to Bioflow, now we do common trainings. We generate unified reports, unified kind of interpretation. And yeah, I can actually speak more and more, but I know time is a limitation. But frankly, like it has given me, at least for us, a very unified platform to work, train people, discuss results in the same fashion, and do interpretation. Yeah, I'll stop here.
Thank you, Abi. So to make sure we have enough time for questions after the panel discussion, I'd like to finish with one last question for you. After the demonstration of what is implemented now, what is planned for the future? What can the users expect from Bioflow in the next couple of months to years?
Yeah, so Eduardo has already shown like the workflow and how a team will be developing, but the Bioflow is actually all new features are primarily driven by the users. When we work, when we train, we discuss with the people like what kind of feature we try to prioritize and we try to bring into hackathon. So it's actually users tool. Most of the modules are user driven, but several critical, like you'll be very happy. The community is here to hear, like we are trying to come up with some very specific kind of workflows for GWAS, some kind of linkage disequilibrium methods, analyzing LD and LD-based methods, and heterotic pool formation. We all have our own scripts, how we group, diversify, and then calculate the genetic distances. Many of such modules are coming. A very user-friendly tool, and which was in demand for F1 QA/QC, like how you check whether a cross is successful, how you measure the parental purity. They are going to be programmed in next hackathon coming in November. So all those tools are going to be soon available. Another shift what we are trying to interlink it with a bioinformatics services platform, so that data comes in a standard way, can be analyzed in a standard way, and can make the life easier. The last point, we are very actively working on artificial intelligence, where we are trying to come up with AI-driven workflows into the Bioflow, which in future user will not only just get the results and the report, but they'll be also able to get insights like interpretation in multiple languages. They can get the idea into multiple languages, and decision making will be more data-driven, efficient, and more fun. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you, Yanghua and Joseph, for giving us different perspectives on the tool, on the development of the tool, on the usage of the tool. I hope that has answered some of our questions, but I'm sure it also has created many, many more questions. So back to you, Julie. And I think the floor is open for questions and discussion now.
Thank you so much, Christian, and thank you to all the panelists for the feedback and interventions. While people think about their questions and maybe put them in the chat, Eduardo will show you the tool for like the next 5 minutes. You will be getting a live demo. Yes, Eduardo, we can see your screen. So
yes, thank you, Julie. Appreciate it. I guess we just wanted to take 5 minutes to mention that we put the links on the chat. You can just connect to the demonstration servers or to the production server. This is how it should look like. Like we said, this is focused mostly on the biometrical genetics. There will be a different platform for bioinformatics, and you can see the type of menu that we are talking about. An area to retrieve data, an area to have access to modules related to genetic evaluation from QA, single trial, multi-trial analysis, selection indices, mate allocation, selection history and genetic gains. There will be something on selection signatures. There will be also agronomic evaluation. For the mutation force, you will have a GWAS module, also to check mutation history. On gene flow, there is already something for MAS, for population structure. for checking the number of founders of your population when you have marker information. And as Abby mentioned, there will be something on linkage disequilibrium and heterotic pool formation, etc. And there will be, a handful of other functions to make trait transformations, to, manage the marker information, etc., etc. And, it's just a matter of you, taking a look. If you go to a specific module, you will notice that everything has kind of a similar interface where you get an information tab, you get some input steps and some output tabs, and you will always get some message whether you are good to go or not, or you have to do something. You can see here how the application is actually telling me you have not even loaded your phenotypic data, so go there to data retrieval and do it. But there is always, some example data sets available that you can just load to go ahead and see how the data looks like. I mean, how the platform works, and there will always be these different input steps, some parameters to specify, some nice graphs to help you find your way on the current analysis. As you heard from some of the users, it will be very intuitive. As you move, it will be very specific questions on how to do, what to analyze. And if you don't know what to put there, you can always open the graphical interface to see, what should be selected. For example, here, which traits should be fitted in the multi-trial analysis to pick a model. And if you don't know what model to specify, you can always, again, go and look at what type of data you have available. So the idea is that we have put just a series of steps that you can follow one by one to the point that you just run an analysis. And if you have some doubts on what to put in the parameters, there will always be a visual aid. And you can see that once the run is finalized, it will take you to output tabs where you have a dashboard that can be downloaded, where you have different graphs depending on, what is the type of analysis or decision that you have to do. You can interact with this, with these graphs and these dashboards to see if what you are getting is what you were expecting, of if something has to be adjusted, or the model has to be changed, or if the data is looking bad. And there is many graphs, so I will not go through them, but there is everything that the breeders have been asking us, genetic correlations between traits, genetic correlations between environments, distribution of GBBs or TGBs, depending on what is the type of merit estimate that you have selected. I guess I just wanted to show you very quick, more or less, what is the dynamic that the application follows. It's very straightforward. Almost all the modules have certain order. And in general, it can handle relatively, good sizes of data sets. To make sure that this was robust enough, we use the Genomes to Fields Initiatives data set produced in the US, and we use up to 500,000 phenotypic records. And, the machinery, although, it takes time, it runs, it didn't break. And, there is of course, limits of memory, but for most of the data sets that our breeding programs manage, this is pretty doable. And like I said, you have things like selection indices, modules for optimal cross selection. There will be something also in genomic prediction of cross performance, or GPCP, and everything related to the recommendations from excellence in breeding. I'll stop there because I know that there's going to be a discussion. So Julie, back to you.
Thank you, Eduardo. Yes, there are a couple of questions in the chat. The first one being, how much of a large population is handled in a Bioflow pipeline?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of addressed that one. I said there's going to be, we already tested it with a relatively big number of records. It's difficult to answer because it's always depending on how many records versus how many individuals. It gets more tricky when you have many number of individuals, but we still put some pretty good tricks there to make sure that even if you have thousands and thousands of individuals, we enable some models that we call, the eigen models that were published like 2-3 years ago, where the people can just fit kind of a singular, let's say the eigen vectors yeah, just let me say, there's ways to handle pretty large models as well in the platform. On the question on how many users, in essence, probably some of you are maybe experiencing a 503 message if you are trying to connect, because I noticed that currently the server is currently to its maximum capacity. But in essence, if you are using the production server, which is the one managed by the EBS team, there's not really a limit that we have detected. If you are using the demonstration server, yes, the demonstration server only has capacity for about 40 people. So, here we have more than 100 people. So probably if everyone is trying to connect, they might be having a 503 message. But it's just a matter of you, waiting a couple of seconds and trying again. And normally, that opens a space. It just takes some time. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. There was a comment also from Ismail saying that one frustration can be sometimes the loss of connection. So when that happens on the user side, I guess one has to start all over again unless one has saved the working space. So is there maybe an offline tool that people can use? Yeah.
Indeed, that's a concern. Thanks, Julie. Yeah, Ismail, I think you have experienced that probably. Indeed, when there is a place that doesn't have a good internet connection, you can get disconnected and then suddenly you lost your work. The idea is to, of course, save from time to time. But we are also working on cloud storage solution that will be deployed before the end of November. And Khaled from iCarda is working on it. And on top of that, we're making sure that that there is a downloadable version for local installation. We expect that one to be ready by the end of the year, because it's not. It's more than difficulties. We need to enable some documentation to be allowed to put it in the platform that we have to put it for make the local installation possible. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Another question is to know where to get the input file template in Bioflow for a particular analysis.
The input file template. Well, there is when you look at the tool, you will notice that there is on the data management modules these different sections for uploading phenotypic or genotypic or environmental or pedigree data. You can always just download the example data set. When you click on load example, you will notice that you will see how the example data set looks like. So you can always just download it and see it. But in general, the only rule is that it has to be long format. Other than that, the system allows you to match whatever template you have. Doesn't matter what are the column names that you currently have on your data set. Anyways, you will be able to match to the expected format. And if you are using one of the popular databases, you don't have to even do the matching. It will be done automatically. So I guess the answer is just long format. Other than that, you can name your columns as you want.
Okay, thank you. Okay, another question from Sarah in the chat, who says that she loves the tool. And Sarah is asking, what is the roadmap to incorporate the ASREML, embedding a modern best practice tool critical to many programs, which would enable and drive broader use of the tool?
Yes. So one of the reasons why the use of ASREML as an engine was not prioritized is because this aims to be an open source tool for everyone around the world, independently of whether they have access or not to a license of ASREML. As you know, not everyone makes or has free $1,500 per year to have one license. So that's the reason why it was not prioritized. It doesn't mean that it's not on the plan. It's actually part of the plan to have the 4 different engines on the multi-trial analysis. So first, remember that Bioflow covers many different analytical aspects, from genetic gains to optimal across selection, etc. And not everything uses mixed model machinery. For example, optimal cross selection uses a genetic algorithm to do the optimization, or uses different types of algorithms for doing the optimization. So really where the AS-REML software is used is on the single trial analysis and multi-trial analysis. That doesn't mean that is the only solution. Currently, we have enabled 2 out of the 4 engines that will be available, which is, is going to be LMM Solver, LME4, Summer, and AS-REML. And currently, LMM Solver and LME4 are enabled. And the AS-REML engine will be also put in the machinery, but it will be only available for certain users because that requires the payment of licenses. And yes, I mean, I don't want to contradict everyone, but or someone that has a hard feeling on the use of AS-REML, but there is only one very specific model that where AS-REML is outstanding, which is the factor analytic model. That is the only one that I would say is not possible to do, let's say, properly with other software. Other than that, many programs don't even use GBB, so I would not even be worried of using factor analytic at this point. But yeah, I get the point, and it is on the road map, and we expect to have it before the end of Q1 2025. Not this year, Q1 next year.
Okay, thank you. There is a question that I missed actually in the chat, which is about the the criteria for researchers to use the platform. How can they access them?
Can you say that again? I didn't hear.
Yes. So the question from Julius was to know what the criteria are for researchers to use the platform, to use the tool.
You mean how do we approve people?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. If that's the question, in general, access to the production server is only currently guaranteed for the CG scientists and for NARES partners. So everyone belonging to the CG-NARES collaboration. Universities, students, other people, they can access the demonstration servers, which has also pretty good capacity, but of course it has a bit more limited resources, computationally speaking.
Okay. A few other questions. One about errors, and so the question is, if any error occurs during the running the pipeline, how will it be solved?
The way it has been solved currently is, right away you send your Bioflow object, you send a screenshot, and it gets fixed right away. But there is also a ticketing system that you can always go to the frequently, to the home page. You will see something that it says frequently asked questions, contact us. In the contact us page, there is a link to report these issues. But yeah, one of the comments there is you have to, we need to be able to recreate the error. And the only way to do it is that you share, the object and maybe some explanation. And, that will be fixed, normally I would say in the time of hours to a day, but of course it would depend on the complexity, but most of the things are really easy fixes.
Okay, so you mean that users can share feedback and ask questions via the production server link, right?
Yes, I mean the link is available, the contact us link is available in both the demo and the, the production server. And yes, please, everything that you find, just drop us a message. That's kind of our job to make sure that this is a high quality product. Several programs already have run their genetic evaluation. So yeah, it's, I think it's pretty robust at this point, but I'm sure that there will be always something that can be improved. But we're totally open to fix it right away.
Okay, we have 1 minute left, and one last question, which is about the level of security for the data in the cloud.
Well, I'm surprised that it's our biometricians who are asking that one, because they're the ones coming up with the solutions. But yeah, I mean, the level of security of data on the cloud, it will be linked to the same level of security that currently EBS has, because we are not using any other place to store data. So it will go to the EBS servers, to the EBS instances. And maybe if there is any person that is, part of the EBS team, well, if you are using EBS, BMS, or BreedBase, those are the levels of security that you can expect for your results.
Thank you. All right. So yeah, we are at the end of this webinar. Thank you so much, Eduardo, for answering all these questions. Thank you to Christian for moderating the panel discussion. Thank you to the panelists for their participation and enthusiasm. The recording of this webinar will be added to the event page and also shared on social media, Genetic Innovation social media. Yeah, we'll keep you posted on upcoming webinars, and thank you so much for joining. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Take care. Be safe.
Wow.